He does. We'll get him to make coffee again next week. Thank you, mate. They're the letters for tonight's episode, handed in by Mike. First letter tonight, my husband lost interest in any romance. He blames it on my ageing look. Thank you, Joshy. He blames it on my ageing looks and keeps putting me down. Second letter tonight, it concerns me when I see young women staggering around completely stoned and drunk and out of control. And that's just in his household. I was so shocked to find that she's putting herself through uni by doing some, well, she calls it modelling. What will the panel call it? Find out in about 10 seconds. See you then. Don't go away. Sweet and sour coming right up, and I'm going to finish my coffee. Bye.
Got a problem, big or small, would a miracle be nice? Our motley crew is back, churning out advice. You might even laugh a bit in the following half hour. Park your backside on the couch, 'cause baby, it's time for Sweet and Sour.
It's a bit wimpy. Thank you for the clap. Anyway, welcome to Sweet and Sour, everyone. Lovely to have your company. Gary Mitchell with you for the next half hour. Who's in? Who's on the panel? You want to know straight away? He hasn't been here for a long time. Welcome back, Paulo. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good.
Very good to see you.
First time I've heard anyone say thank you for the clap.
You know what I mean. All right, it's going to be that sort of show already. How long has it been since you've been on the panel? Since we were broadcasting on 31, I think.
I'd say close to 3 years.
Yeah, that would be about right.
Yeah.
And now you're pushing buttons and speaking, and you're at 6PR.
Yeah, still at 6PR and basically doing what a journalist does, staying out of the limelight and trying to expose things that are wrong.
No, you've got a face for TV. You should be on.
Well, I always thought I had a face for radio and a voice for mime, so.
Welcome back, mate.
Cheers.
Hayley,
Hey.
welcome to the show for the first time.
Thank you for having me.
Lovely to have you.
Pleased to be here.
You're from the crazy, sexy, cool
I
brigade.
am indeed, I am, yes.
What have they got you doing?
A bit of promotional work, we got a catwalk modelling, lots of fun, always do some great parties. So,
And when you're not doing that, what are you doing?
Studying broadcasting and English at university at ECU and working at a physiotherapy clinic, so busy times.
Busy lady. Welcome to the show. Good to have
Thank
you.
you.
Hello, Zoe.
Hello.
How are you, darling?
I'm good, yeah.
Now, what are you studying? I know you're a student.
I'm studying film and TV at Central.
Ooh, very good. At where?
Central.
Central. What's Central? It sounds like a train station to me. What's
No,
Central?
it's a TAFE.
It's a tape, is it? You're talking about the Central Institute of Technology.
Yes.
Yeah, where is that?
Here, right here.
Right here. This is where we shoot, the Central Institute of Technology here in Perth. And Jim, welcome, mate.
Good to be here, Gary.
Long time.
A year, almost a year.
Do I call you Slim? Do I call you Jamie? Do I call you Jim?
You can call me anything you want, but Slim or Jamie's fine.
All
No
right,
worries
Slim or
about
Jamie, and I called you Jim. Welcome back, mate. Good
No
to have
worries.
you.
Good to
Ready
be
to
here,
do some
Gary.
work, troops?
Yes, please.
Yeah, here we go. Dear Mitch and panel, my husband has been a sad case for almost a year and has lost interest in any romance. He blames it on my ageing looks and keeps putting me down. I think and I hope that's to make himself feel better. I've turned to a close workmate for consolation and she has been a godsend. She's helped me build up my self-esteem again. However, I think that I've become attached, and I'm very attracted to her. I'm not sure whether she feels the same way, and I'm also not sure if my feelings are because of being rejected by my husband. I'm not sure whether I should follow these new inclinations, and in fact, I don't even know if my female colleague feels that similarly. What do you suggest I do? I don't think my husband is ever going to change, and I've become dependent on this woman's company, and I don't want to lose her. It comes to us from Carolyn, Glen Iris, and a lot of that going on in Victoria. All right, Paulo, what's going on here, mate?
Someone's got to redo the letter order for one. With my sad litany of relationships, I feel ill-advised, ill-prepared to give any advice. Oh, look, you've got some problems at home, Caroline. I really don't know what to say. Look, if you think this, look, go for it. Just explore it. Just don't expect to be able to get married in Australia. That's the sad reality of it. If it does blossom into a full-blown lesbian affair and you find yourselves fully committed to each other, you're just not going to be able to get married here. book a trip to New Zealand. Apparently that's the place to go. Great honeymoon.
Hayley, what's your take for Carolyn here?
I'm just not sure how she's ended up in this situation with her husband.
She was
I mean,
rejected.
but how does that occur? Darling, I want to go out to the movies tonight. No, because of your ageing looks, I don't want to be seen with you. I mean, how do you get in that position and then go, oh, now what? I mean, you know, he's putting out her candle to make his own burn brighter. I mean, it sounds like he's got his own self-esteem issue, and your partner's meant to be your best friend. This is a person you choose.
She's taking it to heart.
Yeah, I mean, you're choosing to spend the rest of your life with someone who's putting you down and making you feel rubbish. What's the point in that? I mean, maybe you are having feelings for this friend because you're confused. Maybe you aren't. But I mean, figure out the problem with your husband first. He's obviously making
Before
you feel
you create
rubbish.
another one.
Yeah, I mean,
There's a little bit of wisdom. That's clever.
I should have said that.
you know, and I mean, don't try and, you know, go into a new relationship before you sorted the one out that you're in now. Sort that out. If he's not making you feel good about yourself and this friend's become a relationship partner for, you know, a replacement for your relationship, then fob him off and, you know, explore that, or maybe there's someone else better out there for you, whether a guy or a girl.
Mine again.
Not tonight, mate. Terrific. All right, Zoe, is this lady turning to this other lady as a surrogate because she's been rejected?
I think that might be the case. Although,
Or do you think she's really attracted to him?
no, I think it's probably because of the issues she's having with her husband.
So what does she do?
I think firstly she needs to sort out the issues she's having. She needs to sit down and talk to her husband and say, hey, this is not okay. You can't say stuff like that. It's not fair.
What does she do if he's not going to stop, though? Does she just get out?
Yeah, she should get out and leave.
All right, Jamie, come on in, mate. Words of wisdom. What happens?
words of
We
wisdom.
were talking earlier before the show, and there's never any substitute for conversation and chat. And you keep it going to sort
I totally
things out.
agree. No, that is the case. But I know it's hard to believe, Gary, but I'm almost turning 50 this year.
Almost turning 50.
Almost turning 50.
Okay.
Okay. In here, I'm not. Unfortunately, the rest of me is definitely swinging the 50 angle big time. And one of the things I've got to say to you is one of the things I've discovered with old
bald
age.
men always look younger than what they are.
True story. You know, and of course
You're
the
turning
paper
50.
clip at the back, sort of holding it all back is good.
Vertically
But you know what I found, Gary? You know, the older I get, grey pubic hair seems to be a growing problem. You know, it is one of those things. It was never in the manual of how to be a grown-up. Right, grey pubic hair, Gary. Let me just tell you the story. The other day, I was standing naked in front of my bathroom mirror. It was like looking at an effigy of Santa Claus. Atrocious, really. But let me just suggest that I find it very sad that this lady is going through those sort of similar sort of problems that you know, sort of I have. You know what I mean? This sort of maybe feeling a bit too old, feeling a little bit like less attractive than we did in our prime, for example. But the other thing I want to sort of suggest also that as far as finding love or a relationship with another person, the sexuality or the sex of the other person shouldn't be relevant.
Irrelevant.
I mean, the love is more relevant than anything. So I say probably explore that situation.
Even though the other woman possibly has no inclination whatsoever as this.
Well, you'll never know unless you give it a go.
Tap
Never
on
give
the
it a go.
shoulder.
But no, I think that's how I'd explore that side of the relationship. If this person is someone that sort of shares affection for you and interest in you, it's a lot more than what your husband is doing currently.
Yeah.
Either that, or do what I did, a bit of manscaping. Remove the evidence, remove the ageing evidence.
Very
One or the other.
clever. They've really dressed it up for him.
Now let's talk about the nicking. Oh no, I won't talk about that.
The one thing that we didn't address is that this is a workplace relationship.
Oh, is it?
Well, the
it
woman's
is too,
attracted
yeah.
to her, you know.
That's okay.
No,
I know plenty of
screw the
couples
crew,
that have
you
owned
don't
a
think-
fish and chip shop and they've lasted for years, Gary.
We're going to chat about this long into the break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about Aussies who are drunk, stoned and delirious. And it's happening more and more, apparently.
A bit
When
like
we
this
come
panel
back, don't
tonight,
go
isn't
away.
it, Gary?
There's what? Welcome back to Sweet and Sour. If you'd like to send us a letter, send it to the address that's about to appear on your screen, which is letters@sweetandsour.net.au. And for every letter that lands here, we'll have a look at it, we'll have a read, and if we like it, we'll give it to the panel to chat. And for every letter that we do chat about, we're going to send you to the movies, courtesy of the very gorgeous Natalie Cameron and NRC Communications. She's not called Natalie Cameron anymore. And the movie we're sending you to this week is Warm Bodies.
Zombie rom-com.
Yeah, they're cold-blooded. What's warm bodies got to do with anything?
That's the twist.
Ah, have you seen this already?
I want it. Yeah, I'm sad. Sadly, I want to go watch it. Yeah.
Okay.
Plot sounds too complex.
yeah. You can also like us on Facebook, and we also have a... There it is. There's the Facebook address, facebook.com/sweet and sour. And we also have, what else do we have? We've got a website, which is sweetandsour.net.au. Terrific. Thanks, guys. Here we go. Letter 2, coming to us from Crow's Nest in NS. I presume that's NSW. Here we go. Dear Mitch, it's a fact. Our cities have become very scary and violent places at night. No longer can you take your family out to the city for a quiet night on the town. I don't know whether that's true. And it's all due to our lack of control with alcohol or pills or powder. I don't know what's worse. Europeans have a more civilised approach to drinking and drug taking in their countries, whereas Aussies, especially our youngsters, are just barbarians, placing themselves and others in dangerous predicaments. It's not safe anymore for the average bloke or even police officer, and serious assaults often feature in the headlines. And it concerns me when I see young women staggering around completely stoned or drunk and out of control. How and when did it come to this? Why don't Aussies have any style and sophistication like our European counterparts? Why is it that Aussies have been able to indulge in such self-destructive and community-destructive behaviours without any consequences? As I said, Colin of Crow's Nest in New South Wales. I don't know whether that perspective is actually true. Jamie, what's your take on this?
Yeah, Colin, I don't actually agree with that at all. I don't think that the cities are more violent. In fact, I've been playing in hospitality or in pubs and clubs all my adult life. And I actually think at the moment it's probably the safest I've ever seen it, contrary to popular reports. I think the issue is, at the moment, is that an incident does break out, say, in a place like Northbridge in WA, and it's blown out of proportion by the media. And that is the harsh truth of it, because I know that the amount of regulations that go into obtaining a licence for a liquor licence premises in the first place is so extreme, they're so full on, that they wouldn't risk a multi-million-dollar business or a very financial business with some foreign person, some outside person coming in a bit drunk and a bit stoned and having a restriction placed on their pub. They just wouldn't do it. It's not financially logical. But on the other side of the fence, when you sort of suggest that the Europeans probably do it better, I do partly agree that the culture for binge drinking or drinking socially in Australia is vastly different to the Europeans. And I think that there's probably lessons to be learned how to educate children with alcohol from a young age. Drugs are a different situation. I think drugs are a circumstance of the individual. But one of the core issues when you see so much, as you say, Colin, death and destruction and violent behaviour in social areas, is the fact that I think the individual needs to start taking responsibility for what they ingest, be it alcohol or drugs. And I think secondly, and more importantly, don't expect a pub or a nightclub to be your chaperone or the person that's going to put you in the taxi at the end of the night to make sure that you get home in one piece. I think individuals need to take responsibility, and I think the police should be taking more action in Western Australia in particular with those individuals that do misbehave when they have gone too far in a social setting. That's my opinion.
Zoe, you're the demographic this person's probably talking about. Do you like a drink?
Yeah, I do.
You don't get drunk and disorderly, do you?
No, not at all.
Good for you. Okay, what do you say to Colin, Crow's Nest?
I definitely agree with what Jamie was saying about the different cultures, but I think you can't really compare the two because we have such a heavy binge drinking culture here. It's extremely different.
Do we really though? I don't know whether we do.
We do. We definitely do.
So with something like Oktoberfest, for example, it almost not so much promotes binge drinking, but it promotes a good social atmosphere where people are drinking a lot of beer in some pretty large, what are they called, steins? You know what I mean? So I sort of see what you're saying, that there is a culture here that it seems to get out of control if they do binge drink. But you go to Germany and there's very few arrests, there's very few issues. From what I've been told.
Sorry.
No,
that's actually not quite correct. I mean, there is this notion amongst people, they romanticise Europe to think that because the child sits down at the table and is allowed to have a glass of vino or a small beer with the rest of the family, that encourages better and more responsible drinking. It's not the truth. There's actually a higher percentage of alcohol-related crime, violence, in countries like France, Netherlands, Ireland, Wales, New Zealand, all those sort of places have a higher propensity for violent crime than Australia. And it's just stupid to think that introduction of alcohol at a young age to try and teach a child how to drink responsibly is the way forward. It's a romantic notion that's got no place in reality. Sorry about that.
Well, I'll just say something, Paul. That
Can we just tell the people at home that Paul knows what he's talking about to some degree as well. So does Jamie with all his experience. He's never had a drink in his life.
But I don't say to people,
You're not a wowser, right?
I'm not a wowser
We've
at all.
had you on the
Not a
show for
wowser at all.
years.
And I think that the notion that it's alcohol which is the problem, but it's not. It's the combination of drugs. It's a whole combination of things that you can't really put your finger on one
Some
aspect
of the countries
of
that
it.
you mentioned in your comment were also socioeconomically poor, and especially in the last 15 years.
I don't think the Netherlands is.
No, but Ireland is definitely.
Yeah, France. But it's the notion. I mean, the main idea of the utopia of introducing alcohol to children is Italy. And that's not an economically strong country, particularly at the moment.
Sure.
So
We'll bring in
look,
Hayley.
it does get really complicated. I agree with you that the idea that venues are responsible for this, it's not true. It's not true at all.
You've got to take on
But
the individual responsibility.
along with the binge drinking is also the problem of preloading, where alcohol is expensive in Perth, and so people drink
out
heavily at home,
Push to it.
and then
So it's not working, is it? The system's not working.
No,
Hayley, come on in.
Drinking culture is also prevalent because it's taboo in Australia. It's like the only way to ensure something happens is to ban it, you know? Like the same thing as you ban something in a school or you ban an
make it
item to
more
read.
attractive.
Everyone's going to read it. So, I mean, that's what I found growing up was the appeal of people drinking until you get to a point after turning 18 going, oh, actually, this isn't that fun. I can actually have fun without drinking. It's because it's this big thing, oh, you turn 18 and oh my God, and everyone just goes wild rather than, hey, have a glass of wine. This is normal.
As you get a little older, and as you're going out now, is your age group binge drinking, or have they settled down?
I think it depends on the people you choose to hang out with. I mean, I certainly wouldn't describe my actions when I go out as barbaric. But also, Colin, what time are you going out for dinner? Midnight on a Saturday night, you know, down an alleyway where there's a million bars?
I can attest to the fact I get home with some pretty weird, pretty weird times.
I don't know.
I can tell you.
And just in terms of the nationality, I don't think it should come into it comparing Europeans and Australians. I mean,
I think, as Paul said, I think there's a bit of a twist here on this man's perspective.
yeah, and
I want to say something in support of a comment I made earlier about the fact of alcohol with children. My father's Italian, born. We used to get a small nip of wine mixed heavily with water at the dinner table. None of us like the flavour or the taste of it. But I think the best example, Paul, probably agreeing with you on this point, I never saw my father drunk.
Yeah.
and that's where it comes back to that.
Horses thing. It
I think
doesn't.
that's probably
Everything
more relevant.
doesn't work for everybody.
We've got to wrap this one. Final word to Hayley, go on.
I just think it comes back to where he mentioned here, destructive and community. Maybe these kids don't have a sense of community. I mean, myself volunteered at Netball Club, and our problem is getting volunteers. People aren't having fun without just getting high on life and enjoying life. They have to get high on drugs and alcohol, and I think that comes down to the parents, not the youth and adolescents. They need to, you know, instill this sort of sense of community and getting into team sport, doing other fun activities other than, oh, what do we do tonight? Oh, let's go out and drink. There should be other things to do, and parents are responsible for bringing that culture into effect as they're growing up.
Parents and individual responsibility. When we come back, we're going to be talking about how kids are putting themselves through uni these days. I know how I did it.
We discuss everything here, from pornography to filthy feet to free legs to free lovin'. So join us late at night, because that's the only time we can discuss this stuff, on Sweet and Sour.
Welcome back. Here we go. Dear panellists, my daughter has just started university. Most parents would be proud, but I'm very concerned about it. She was never really a bright student, and I can't believe she was so readily accepted into her course. And that makes me ask, firstly, whether university degrees are worth anything today. But my major issue is that I was so shocked to find that she's putting herself through uni by doing some, well, she calls it modelling, her dad and I call it stripping. Now I feel as if she's wasting her time and ruining her reputation as well. What can I say to a girl who thinks she knows it all, yet always makes terrible decisions? I don't know how to approach her without getting a negative reaction that will see her ignore speaking to us, her mum and dad, for months. Should I just turn a blind eye to the whole horrible mess that is her life? What type of individuals are universities pumping out into society now anyway? Trudy of Warrigal, Victoria. Trudy, I think you might need to get into the city. Hayley, you're first on that one. She's being a little bit biased.
Well, I mean, I see it as a two-part question. First of all, on the question of university, is it important? I mean, in this day and age, yeah. I mean, especially for a girl to get any kind of accreditation, you know, it's the difference between you getting the job and someone else getting the job, whether it's university or TAFE or an apprenticeship. I think it's very important. And, you know, one day you end up pregnant, whether you're married or not, you're the one who might have to look after the kid, and, you know, it's good to be trained in any kind of workplace. And especially if you were someone who might not have been the brightest student in high school, university is a totally different type of learning. It's not just test after test, it's applying what you've learned in class and discussions. And if you have to push through it compared to someone who just finds study easy, then that's something to look back on and be more proud than people who find study easy. The other part to the question regarding, you know, saying that is she doing stripping? Well, I think there you need to define, is she doing modelling or is she doing stripping? Because that's not a grey area. It's a very definitive line. Is she representing a brand? Is she the new face of her local, you know, surf store? Is she, you know, won a competition? Or is she, you know, skimping it up at the local sleaze bar? Completely different things and completely different moral alignment.
She sounds like a wowser to me. I don't know. Paul, we're going to bring you in at this point.
Trudy, don't take this the wrong way, but you're a bad parent. I mean, fair income. Okay, look, let's look at it from another perspective. Let's look at it from a positive side. You've got a daughter who struggled through high school, but she got into university. She's putting herself through university. You don't talk to her to communicate with her enough to find out what she's actually doing. You've branded what she does stripping, and she's calling it modelling. Okay, I've got some bad news for you. If you think she's going to turn out badly, there's a good chance she'll turn out like me. Because I struggled through high school, got into university by the skin of my teeth, graduated into an honours program and was asked to actually do some adjunct lecturing later on.
Where does the stripping come into it, mate?
Okay, I was getting there. I also did modelling and promotions.
There you go.
While also doing competitive swimming. So if you think that she's, if you think she's worth forgetting about, go for it, because she's going on. She's decided to further her education by herself. If she was stripping and was going to go down the sleaze road, I'm pretty sure she wouldn't be wasting her time spending money on her HECS debt to get a university degree. Maybe sit down and have a chat with your daughter.
Jamie?
I'm a bit like Paul. I was also an ex-model and did some professional swimming for years.
Those calendars we did were awesome.
You like them? I thought they were great, just quietly. You know, I was amazed how much bigger I was than you. Yeah. Anyway, I've got to say to you, unfortunately, Trudy from Warrigal, you are a bit of a disgrace. You've got no confidence in your daughter whatsoever. You've doubted her intelligence to even get into university in the first place. You've obviously condemned what she's doing to put herself through university, which I think is quite honourable. And more importantly, you seem to be just the attitude towards your daughter full stop seems to be really negative. And I think you're the person that needs to have a good hard look at yourself. Yeah. And I think your daughter's probably doing the most, being quite remarkable in the current circumstances, and the indoctrination you've been trying to impose on her for her entire life up to this point in time obviously hasn't worked, and thank God for that.
Zoe, final word. Someone in this position, how are you putting yourself through uni?
My parents are paying for me.
Okay. Yeah. They're doing something that this lady's not. Yeah.
Well, I think they should stop insulting your daughter, firstly.
She's insulting her daughter.
Yeah, she is never really a bright student. That's a terrible thing to say about your own daughter.
I don't have much faith in this woman.
Also, let her do what she wants. It's her own body, regardless of whether or not it's modelling or stripping. It's her choice. It's her body, not yours. So she should choose what she does to it.
They are two very different things, though. I mean, there is that element. I go to uni and I do modelling, and I certainly wouldn't want to stoop to that level, because I would sort of think if that's what I need to do to put myself through uni, then I feel like I'm losing my morals. So what's the point in the degree? Yeah. So, I mean, you've got to figure out what is she actually doing and sit down and actually talk to her,
Hayley,
don't just accuse her.
Do you like this letter to give away the pair of limited edition sunnies, courtesy of Alon Treves and Aussie Opticals?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean,
you like this letter?
Yeah, I like it.
Paula, do you like this letter?
No, Trudy does not deserve
Which letter do you like?
Who was the fella talking about alcohol?
You like Colin of Crow's Nest? He's the only bloke on the show. Talking about cities at night. Jimmy?
Yeah, Colin from Crow's Nest.
Not allowed to call you that. I have to call you Slim or Zoe?
Yeah.
Colin of Crow's
Colin.
Nest. All right, there you go. Coming out to Colin of Crow's Nest in New South Wales. A pair of limited edition sunnies. We've got to go. Thank all of our terrific panellists. Thank our terrific crew. And thanks for having us at home tonight, Australia. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye. Ta-da, ta-da.